All right, so I just finished my second week with Avocademy, and before I dive into what I worked on this week, I want to go over just some past comments that I've made about this course. So in previous videos, I talked about that one of my kind of gripes with Avocademy is that a lot of the videos that are on the platform are very short and somewhat superficial. And historically, when I've taken courses, I'm used to 15-minute plus videos going into deep detail. And after sort of taking this Avocademy course and going through it, I'm starting to realize that maybe that there's purpose behind that. Because for me personally, I can get in this real rut where I want to try to learn as much information as I possibly can about a topic and really just try to gain all of the theory first and then take action. But I think what Avocademy is doing is making you take action before you have this deep dive of information. And, but before, I will say that I didn't necessarily think about that going into it. And so I always felt like there was something missing. But I think there is value to just diving in and doing it and not worrying about all the details when it comes to the theory of UX design. All right, so let's move on to week 2, and this week was all about research. So last week I actually did research, but it was secondary, meaning I used Google to find sources to back up my problem, which is helping musicians find time to do music while juggling all of life's obligations. And so this week was all about conducting primary research. So the first part of this had to do with me designing a screening survey. And so this was a 5-question survey that I sent out to try to tease out if someone would be right, would fit my criteria for me to interview them to get deeper perspective on the issues that they're having. The hard part for me initially was figuring out where am I going to get all of these people to fill out my screener survey. So for me, I have this music community that I'm a part of, and there's probably 80 people in it. And so we have a message board where I sent out the screener survey and just asked people to help out and fill it in. But only 2 people got back to me, and I needed a lot more than 2 people to fill out the survey. So I was scrambling in the beginning of the week to figure out where else I could send my survey to. And so I actually decided to turn to Reddit. And what I did was I went to a couple related subreddits. There's the music production subreddit as well as EDM producer subreddit. And I basically just asked people to take my survey. Now I had a nice message talking about, the struggle of finding time to make music while juggling, daily life. And then I honestly did not think it was going to get any traction, and I thought the post was going to be removed by the mods. But to my surprise, I got an enormous amount of response and just feedback. So tons of people commented. I just told people to comment if they wanted me to reach out to them. And so by the end of it, I got 66 people to respond. And yeah, it was great. And a lot of those people left their email for me to reach out for them afterwards to do interviews. So now that I had all of these people that responded, I was a little bit concerned because I didn't want to have to actually interview 30 people because that would take up an enormous amount of time. So I talked with a one-on-one mentor, and he said that honestly, 7 is ideal. And he said once you start getting beyond 7, it actually becomes more difficult to disseminate all of the responses that you get, which makes sense to me because I guess we're going to be using a lot of sticky notes soon to make affinity maps. I don't really know what an affinity map is, but I assume it's just talking about the traits and characteristics of the people that I interviewed. And so anyway, my mentor said to just limit it to about 7 because otherwise it'll just get too overwhelming. And so I've already done 2 interviews so far, and they've gone fairly smoothly. And then I have 5 more that are going to be happening tomorrow and the following day, so 7 total. As far as creating the interview questions, we were basically instructed to try to come up with around 15 questions to ask each of the interviewees. And I wasn't entirely sure what to ask people. I mean, I had some general ideas, but basically I tried to take people through a story of sorts of just asking general information about their music making process, and then kind of digging into, one, how important is music to them, as well as what obstacles get in the way of music. And so I got some pretty good insights from people so far, but I will say that I have this knack to want to figure out what's the solution going to be. Because if I'm being honest, I don't know what solution I'm going to design. I have no idea. I mean, time management app, truthfully, is what comes to mind, but there's so many of those that it just seems like if I designed that, it would just be lost in a sea of so many other ones. So I don't really know what I'll be designing. But I actually just met with a mentor earlier today who tried to reassure me to not worry about the solution, just dig into the problems that people have, and then figure things out once all the interviews are done. So hopefully I'll have a little bit more clarity once I conduct all of the interviews. And this was definitely a busy week because on top of the interviews and the screener surveys, I also had to come up with a pretty lengthy research plan. And so this basically is a summary of the background of my problem, what is the objective that I'm trying to accomplish, what are some research questions. So it was a very in-depth document to do that definitely took a bit of time, especially when I had to do the other assignments. As far as actually conducting the interviews, I do get a bit nervous before I start the interview, which I think is fairly normal. But the process itself, once I'm in it, is pretty straightforward. One problem I had to navigate is someone that I was interviewing was a long talker. And so I would ask something and he would go on and on and on about it. And so I didn't even get through all of my questions. And Zoom actually kicked us out because there's a 40-minute time limit before we even got through the interview. So that is definitely a little bit difficult to navigate if someone is very wordy, because a lot of the things that he was saying were useful. So that'll be a challenge going forward on reining in people's responses so that I can get to other questions that I need to have answered as well. But yeah, overall, I'm really enjoying Avocademy. Like I said in the beginning of this video, it was a little bit uncomfortable knowing that the videos were so short and it's very much just go, do it. But I'm starting to see the benefit of that now. And it's, in some respects, it's actually better to do the thing and then read some of the articles that they have listed in the program, because then it actually puts the pieces together a little bit better, in my opinion. And if you're interested in checking out more about Avocademy, I actually have a link in the description below that you can check out. It is an affiliate link, so if you want to support this channel, then that is a great way to do so. And also, if you want to save $100 off the course, you can do so using the link SAVE100. As far as I know, that is still an active link that you can use to save some money on the course. And as far as next steps for me for this week, I have the 5 interviews that I need to conduct this week. And then after that, we get into the next module, which is synthesizing all the research and findings that I did through the interviews and creating whatever the hell affinity maps are. And then I guess after that, we get into the whole ideation prototyping phase. Again, I don't really know much about that process, but I'll be sure to share all the stuff that I do going forward. So yeah, if you want to follow along with this journey, then definitely subscribe. And when my next video is available, you can check that out right here. And until next time, I will see you in the next video.